So he has to be is a poem that I wrote several years ago, back when I was living in Milwaukee. I would come home after doing my little strip shows, making my money. I always had a full-time job though. Shipping and hustling was always a side job, so don't get it twisted. In any event, I would come home after making all that good money, what have you, and then I would sit there and I would think about what I observed and how people were interacting with me, and if I wasn't dating someone, I would kind of like just fantasize about the ideal person. And of course, the poem "He Has to Be" is a product of that. Um, Back in the day, before Facebook was popular and before internet really was popular, I used to write poetry and it would be posted on a website called blackplanet.com, which was a website for all people, whether you were black, white, whatever. Predominantly, it was black people, but there were all type of races in there, and people would see my poetry on my page. Men, women, gay, straight, young, old, had access to it, so they would oftentimes just give me direct feedback on how they liked it or they didn't like it. If it spoke to them in a way that they could relate to. I try to write from a standpoint of being universal, because I know that regardless of people's gender, their age, their race, sexual orientation, what have you, that everyone has their chance of actually having not the best ideal situation when you're dating someone, but if you could describe someone and kind of have God deliver that person to you, this was pretty much my little way of describing that and asking God to send someone like that to me. It would be ideal if we all could get our exact match, but we know that that's not possible oftentimes. So anyway, He Has to Be is pretty much a poem that's kind of fun, and it highlights what I, as well as several other people, like in an individual, a well-rounded person, pretty much. All right, He Has to Be. Okay, let's see here. He has to be dark as the night or bright as the sun. It doesn't matter. I'd be content with either one. Just let him be tall and lean, or short and muscular. He has to talk like an executive, but be persuasive like a hustler. He has to be smart, but then every now and then stupid. He has to have a rough exterior, but a heart like Cupid. He has to have his own life and be able to handle many things. He has to be busy, but always answer the phone whenever it rings. He has to be complex, but then again simple. He has to know me inside and out and identify my every dimple. He has to be down to earth, but occasionally a snob. He has to be creative, but still have a job. He has to be my mentor, but comfortable following my lead. He has to prevent me from failure and insist that I succeed. He has to be there when I need him, but not always in my face. He has to have his own home, but clothes at my place. He has to like my family, and vice versa. He has to be polite, but not afraid to hurt you. He has to be conservative, but an undercover freak. He has to be quiet, but always dare to speak. He has to be my best friend, but never my dad. He has to periodically piss me off, but consistently keep me glad. He has to have the ability to be trusted with his set of spare keys. He has to be cool if his curiosity delivers him much more than he expects to see. He has to be discreet about our intimacy, but brag about me to all his guys. He has to be tough, but never ashamed to rest his head on my shoulder whenever he cries. He has to be the reason I can't wait to punch the clock. He has to be a great cook, but still my favorite jock. He has to be real and sometimes tempted to stray. He has to be rational enough to let his heart lead him back my way. He has to be many things, definitely a good find, but most importantly of all, he has to be mine.